What's happening, game designers? Okay, it's Mr. Chivolio here. We're going to be diving into learning some of the basics of C#. This is the programming language that you're going to be using all year long in the game design course. So you'll see this is our user interface, right, in Unity. We've got our inspector over here. We've got our hierarchy, our scene view. This is what it looks like when we play the game. Here's our little play button to see what the game looks like. We've got our project panel down here and our console. This is going to be great where we get information if we want to see if there are bugs in our program or we're having issues. We're going to find this console area to be helpful. And this is our way of staying organized, keeping all of our assets organized. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here and create a new folder, and we're going to call this folder scripts. And this is where I'm going to put all my programming scripts that are going to give life to my video game, right? Because I can build physical objects here in my scene view that we could play with in our game. But unless we write scripts to tell the computer what to do with those objects, they're just going to sit there on the screen. We need scripts to give them life. So let's dive into writing our first script. We're going to open up the scripts folder. As you see, I could just double click on that, and then I can right click and choose create C# script. And before I touch anything else, I want to type in the name here of the script. First script, something like that would do the job. And that's important that we not leave the default name there before we click anywhere else, right? Because if you'll notice over here, first script is the name of the public class for that script. And if I name the script something other than what shows up here, the script will not run and I'll get an error message. So it's really important that this name here, first script, and the file name match exactly. So now I'm going to double click on it to open up that script so we can actually start writing the script. And that launches the default program called MonoDevelop that kind of comes packaged with Unity. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit to get a little bit. Maybe I should Control++. It doesn't work. Anyway, you should be able to see that. So there's my name, right? Public class first script, matching the file name. Very important first step. Now up here, you'll notice that I have a couple things already in place. First of all, I have a set of curly braces. This is my opening curly brace, that's my closing curly brace. And for the beginning here, I like to kind of bring those down to the same line so you can see where that package begins and where that package ends. And here's my start function, and there's the opening curly brace and the close curly brace. The update, open curly brace, close curly brace. So you'll notice that each of these public classes or methods or functions or whatever you want to call them all have that set of curly braces where the instructions go in between those curly braces. Now at the very top of our public class, this is where I like to declare my variables. So I'm just going to type in these two hash marks, forward slashes, and these forward slashes basically indicate that whatever follows that is just for the programmer's information. It doesn't run in the program. The compiler doesn't read it at all. It has no real function in the program other than to just give me information as the programmer. So I'm just going to type in declare variables. Okay, and that's where my variables are going to go right after that. Now, a variable is a basically piece of information, and it can change. Variable, right? Variable means change, right? The variable can take on different values throughout the program. Now that doesn't mean that it's always going to. Sometimes the variable does not change. We have things that are called numerical constants. In other words, it's going to be the same number throughout the entire program, and that's fine too. But variables are really cool because they allow us to give a name to a number or other values too. And we'll go through the different types of variables that you're going to find. First thing we're going to do is decide whether we want the variable to be public or private. And we'll talk about what the difference between public and private variables are in a few minutes. First, we're going to start with a public variable. And the first public variable is going to be an int. An int is a whole number. So I could basically say, is this going to be usable or visible outside of this script? It's public. Yes. It's a whole number, int. And what's the name of it going to be? Let's see. What in a video game, what might be one of my variables that's represented by a number? How about health? Okay. So health equals, I don't know, 30. And then we end it with a semicolon. So we got our first variable, public int health equals 30. Now, sometimes we want to maybe make health incremental more than just whole units. Maybe we want to do public float, health float. You say, well, what's a float? Well, a float is a decimal, so I could put 25.5 F semicolon. Oop, I did not put a point there. I put a slash. My bad. Okay, there we go. So 25.5 F, that is a float, meaning a decimal number, a number that is not going to be necessarily a whole number. So that comes in handy. And then another type could be public bool. And a bool is going to read as either true or false. So maybe something like public bool, I'm alive. Actually, I like to start my variables with a lowercase. That's it. I'm alive equals true. At the beginning of the game, I am indeed alive. And if I wanted to later on in the game, I could set the I'm alive bool to false. And then I could have some function looking to test and see, is the I'm alive bool true or false? If it's false, then, the character ends up in a pool of blood or whatever, however you want your character to meet its demise. The controllers stop working, what have you. So that's the variables, right? We want to have these variables where we can set values for different numbers, and then we'll use those variables throughout our program in our functions or our methods to make things happen in the program. The void start method or function is what's going to happen when the game initially turns on. As soon as the game turns on, whatever instructions we put in here are going to take place first. And then void update is what happens throughout the program continuously. Every frame of every second, the void update is basically like a loop running constantly as the game is being played. Okay, so let's save this. File save. Really important that when you make changes to your script, you hit file save or Control S, right? And now I can jump back over here to Unity and I can then put my script onto an object in the game. Right now I don't have an object in the game, but if I had one, let's just pull an object in here, game object, 3D object. Let's make a cube here. There's a cube, and I'm just going to pull my script onto that cube. See that? I can just click and drag this guy right onto the cube. Boom. And now when I click on the cube here, you can look over here in the inspector and you'll see that there is my health int, and there is my health float, and there is my I'm alive bool, which is checked, meaning it's true. So because I set those integers to public, it allows me now in Unity to manipulate these variables and set their values to whatever I want in the inspector. Okay, so we'll stop there, and in the next video we'll talk about maybe some collision events or how to write your own methods and write your own functions and get them to have effects on the game. Thanks for watching.